If you know anything about Netflix, then you know they love pumping out mediocre originals to see if they'll stick. And if they even get a modicum of success, they will milk the series like Disney milked the Star Wars and Marvel movies, where their main priority is beating out as much content as possible from their breadwinners, rather than making actual watchable content. The recent victim of this is the teen drama mystery Outer Banks, a fun treasure hunting show where a ragtag group of friends are on the search for lost treasure. A relevant comparison of this would be the show Riverdale, where all the characters in the show are 16, but all the actors are approximately 30. So they look nothing like their age. I don't know about you, but I did not look like that when I was 16. Moving right along from that, the concept for the first season of the Outer Banks, 100 million of lost gold in the Outer Banks. Get it guys? Get it? Get it? And a group of friends made up of the rich and poor, like literally they're broken up into pogues who are poor and kooks who are rich, band together to find this elusive lost treasure. But wait! Plot twist, the rich dad who is helping them is actually evil, and he murdered John B, the main character's dad, and steals the treasure for himself. Essentially, the plot of these shows is just a terrible version of Indiana Jones, where they just follow clues until they find their eventual destination. Where John B is Indiana Jones and he has a collection of companions. But at least the first season was enjoyable. It had a compelling plot and the characters were all pretty fun to watch interact with each other, and there was some sort of relatability among the show, where a group of friends are just trying to solve a local town's mystery and find some treasure. So the first season ends off with the gold has been stolen, and the group is following the gold from Outer Banks, which is in North Carolina, all the way to the Bahamas. And this is when it starts to become just like a fun little local treasure hunting show, to all of a sudden this would never ever happen and this starts getting bad. So now that they're in the Bahamas trying to pursue the gold, they end up realizing there's a golden cross that is one of John B's companions' family heirlooms or something now. So basically a whole lot of nothing happens in this season, because the entire season they're trying to find this cross. And at the very end, they get neither the gold nor the cross, and they end up getting stranded on a desert island. But the evil dad who had stolen the gold from them before blew himself up in his private yacht off the coast to die, like to kill himself. But wait, he actually survived because he had scuba gear in his boat? So he survived the explosion because he had scuba gear and could just swim away? Yeah, sure. Whatever. So that's that. He's still actually alive. He's not dead. And oh, John B's dad, who was murdered by this evil millionaire, is not actually murdered. He got knocked down unconscious, floated ashore on some random island, and a group of mercenaries ended up picking him up and taking him to the mainland. So like none of the main characters ever stay dead, and the only characters who's died was like the chief of police who got gunned down at the end of the first season. Now we can move on to the third season, where it starts with them on a desert island where a plane flies over them, and so they get picked up and taken to safety, where they go to like the Bahamas. Very cool. Just for reference, this came out about 2 days ago and I've only watched the first 3 episodes. And so far my synopsis is, man, this shit is ass. The writing's terrible. Somehow the sun is always setting in every like cinematic shot solely to look nice, which makes absolutely no sense if you know how the sun works. Like it's just like some of the little things that are just like continuity errors. Their car that has broken windshield, sometimes in scenes it's perfectly fixed and other times it's cracked to hell. Oh yeah, the gold in the first season. They spent the whole first season looking for this gold, and it's mentioned in the second season. Did you remember that gold? Because the show didn't. They mentioned it like once and then it's basically forgotten about for the rest of the episodes. That's $100 million, and all these characters are like, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, we'll just look after the cross.
Quick editor's note, I'm sick as hell, but look how terrible this scene is. I didn't add that sound effect in. Also, while we're on the topic of terrible editing, look at the scene where it is so clearly stunt doubles. This guy right here is so clearly not Rafe. He is like a balding 40-year-old man, followed by this woman is also clearly a man. I'll stop that so you can actually see it.
At least they remembered the cross, because the entire group is still looking for it, and it ends up just getting melted down. As well, John B was finally able to reunite with his father, who is by far the worst parent I have ever seen. He just constantly disregards John B and is like assaulting people, stealing, he just is like terrible person and a terrible influence on John. And they start looking for the lost city of gold, El Dorado. Because, yeah, why not just shoehorn that side quest in this as well while we're at it? I just really wish the show would tie up loose ends first. Like, it would just, like, I would have really enjoyed it if each season was like a quest for treasure. And maybe, obviously, they don't get the treasure at the end of each season, but, like, it still builds off each other and they don't just completely disregard, like, the last season's quest on. But I honestly have no idea where the show's gonna go from here. If I'm being honest, I could care less. I would strongly recommend, if you're thinking of watching Outer Banks season 2 or 3, just don't. Either watch all of the Indiana Jones instead, or play any of the Uncharted games, because they're infinitely better than this show, and they're not just terribly boring. Through kind of just like patterns in this show, I feel like the show's gonna end off on another cliffhanger, because Netflix isn't gonna end this. Kids apparently love this show. Like, it's the thing kids like to watch, I guess. I don't know why. So I imagine it's gonna end off on a very similar cliffhanger, where one of John B's companions will be seriously injured, fatally injured, if you will, and they're going to miraculously pull through in the next season. Just the way they kind of set up John B's dad, I think he might actually finally die this season, which would be kind of nice to see them actually kill off a main character, but I don't know, I'm still iffy on that. Yeah, it would be nice to see a character actually die. I understand this is just supposed to be sort of a fun TV show for young teens to watch and kind of be like, yeah, fuck my parents, I wish I could go off on an adventure. But, like, it's not really an excuse for lazy writing and bad acting. Like, you can still have, like, a show for kids, but still make it, like, good. I'm not a filmmaker. So, all in all, this makes me very sad about the current state of TV and movies, where the priority is more on making shows that just make money rather than shows that actually are good. I would way rather one season of a thoroughly made show than 5 seasons of a good core concept that just gets beaten to death, and by the end of it, you're like, please fucking end this trash. All in all, I give the season 3 of Outer Banks 2 out of 10. Only reason because JJ's funny.
Not much of a hugger, man.
Peace out, everybody.